58-year-old GEORGINA KASHEKE lives in a camp for people displaced by the war in eastern Congo. 9 months ago, GEORGINA was gathering firewood in the forest when the soldiers came.
When I was on my way to get firewood, I met 3 men. Once I put the wood on my back, they grabbed me. Then they threw me on the ground, and they slept with me. One was going in, another was going out, another was going in. I left that place screaming.
GEORGINA ran back to the camp where she was living with her husband.
When I got home, I told my husband. He said he didn't want me anymore. He said, "So many men have slept with you. I cannot sleep with you now." He rejected me. He left me.
Many men in Congo find it humiliating to have their wives raped, and they worry about diseases like HIV, so women are often victimized doubly, first by their rapists, and then by husbands who reject them.
It's really been women and girls who've paid the price, and there's a direct correlation between ongoing fighting and increased numbers of rape. Rape is being used as a weapon of war in eastern Congo.
Armed groups use rape to tear apart families and weaken communities that might oppose them. This was the case with GEORGINA and her husband of 33 years. GEORGINA lives alone in her hut. Her husband, ANDRÉ, lives in the same displaced persons camp, 200 yards away.
We had a home, a beautiful family, food. It was a beautiful life. But when I learned she'd been raped, as a man of honor, I could not stay with her. My friends mocked me. I had to leave her. I thought she'd have a disease. Now when I see her in the camp, I say, "Hello, how are you?" That's all.
GEORGINA's story is far from uncommon in Congo after more than a decade of conflict. Some estimate that hundreds of thousands of women have been raped, and more often than not, they're left to fend for themselves. JUSTINE MASIKA runs SYNERGIE for Women, an organization that offers counseling, healthcare, and protection for victims and their children. Among the victims are infants like Gabrielle, who was born of rape.
This is our 559th child. Her actual mother was a sex slave for 4 months with an armed group. She eventually escaped, and she was pregnant when she came here.
Here, in the back of a hospital in Goma, JUSTINE houses women who suffer from severe mental and physical trauma because of rape. Women spend months or even years here getting treatment.
The women here learn skills. They learn to sew. They sell handbags and clothes so they can make a living. And when they're here, they can talk about their problems, which also helps them overcome their trauma.
Around the cities and towns of Congo, there are advertisements educating people about sexual violence. This one warns that rapists will face 20 years in prison, but that almost never happens. War has crippled the justice system.
Since 2003, we've dealt with 8,000 cases of rape. 280 women have pressed charges. There have been only 68 court rulings so far. Women don't trust the justice system.
JUSTINE counsels 15-year-old Zawadi, which is not her real name. Zawadi was raped by her neighbor.
After a few weeks, I was told the man who raped me was no longer in prison. The courts are corrupt. I think he gave them money.
Now the man is threatening Zawadi and her family.
When people know they can get away with murder or rape or theft or whatever the abuse seems to be, then they will do that. And I think because we have seen that rape has become the norm in eastern Congo, not only do we see armed groups commit rape, we also see increased cases of civilians committing rape.
And as the fighting continues, more women like Zawadi and GEORGINA are vulnerable. Without her husband to help support her, GEORGINA struggles to make ends meet. She braids bags and sells beer to other displaced people in the camp. She says she still hopes ANDRÉ will change his mind.
I always think that maybe if I hadn't gone into the forest that day to get firewood, I wouldn't have these problems. We had a beautiful life. We had chickens and a piece of land. My husband was a good man. No one could separate us. I still love him. If he came back, I wouldn't suffer so much. I've asked him to forgive me.
For World Focus, I'm Michael Kavanagh in Eastern Congo.